I'm going to make this short and sweet. It ain't sweet, it's bitter, but it's going to be short. This is very simple. We're talking about amendments to the Lacy Act. Now, I don't want to get anybody lost in the crowd or tripping over themselves because they can't understand legalese. So I'm going to make it very clear and very simple. There is a bill that has been slipped into a much bigger bill, a vast, major piece of legislation in the House that has been approved. It is coming into the Senate right now. This bill, this little amendment, is a silver bullet. I'm going to explain what that means in a minute. But here's the procedure. It has slipped into this House bill that's been approved. It's coming to the Senate. The entire bill will come up before the Senate for a hearing. The amendment that we're concerned about is one of 600 amendments to this bill. It's not going to be considered. It won't come up. It's not part of the main purpose of the bill. It's completely extraneous, completely irrelevant to the main purpose of the bill. The main purpose of the bill is what will be discussed, and it'll be evaluated, and it will be approved because there already are sufficient numbers of Republicans who are supportive of it. So it's going to be passed, it's going to go through, and this amendment with it. Okay, what is the amendment? Very, very simple. The amendment, as I said, is a silver bullet. It does one thing. The one thing that it does is end for all time any possibility of an invasive species coming into our country. How does it do this? Well, the terms of the bill as it's written are that it builds a list of approved items. Where does that list come from? According to the bill, it comes from those items that are marketed in greater than minimal quantities. Now, that's a peculiar way of saying large quantities. Greater than small quantities, which means anything that is small quantities comes in small quantities is not going to be on that list. Number one. Number two, what is on the list? It has nothing to do with species, nothing whatever. There will be no discussion of species. It simply puts on the list those items that are the most popular and the most widely marketed. What are they? Well, the big box stores market 50 items. I think it's 100 actually, altogether. If you include all animals, it's about 100 items. Those will be included because those are the items that are the most popular and the most marketed. Everything else will be excluded. Everything. Everything else will be on the blacklist. Now, this goes on, according to the terms of the regulation, for 3 years. Things may be taken off of the list if they're determined to be a problem. Nothing may be added to the list for 3 years, during which time regulations will be developed by the Department of the Interior for the purpose of permitting additional items to the list. So after 3 years are passed, you can start requesting items to be included. They will then, item by item, go through, you can bet, a rigorous bureaucratic examination and study. Typically, when these studies take place, it takes 3 to 5 years to get a single item on the list. So, what are we looking at here? Very simply, once this bill is approved, and there is every likelihood it is going to be approved, Those items that are the most popular are going to be on the white list. They will be permitted not only to come into the country, but to be shipped between states. That's another item in this. It talks about shipping items state to state. So it breaks down local state regulations, does away with them. They're no longer relevant because only those items on the list are going to be approved to ship state to state. So if you're sitting there with a bunch of fish you're breeding that are not on the list, you can't ship them out of state if they're not on the list. And it may be an item that has been in the hobby for 50 years. Doesn't matter. It's not on the list. This is draconian. It gets worse, a lot worse from there. I'll just leave you with one worse scenario. If you get caught shipping one single fish out of state that is not on the list, the fines and penalties are $25,000 per item for simple possession, just having it in your hand. $25,000 plus 5 years in prison. This is the biggest hammer in the government's arsenal. And it's going to touch a lot of people. Not just touch them, destroy them, smash them. This must be stopped. It is a violence on so many levels. It is wrong on so many levels. It must be stopped, and it must be stopped now. This could be approved in a week. A week. Doesn't take much to move that major bill through. Oh, it'll be discussed. But there's already support for it. Adequate support to get it approved. We need to contact Senator Rubio and have him pull this. Pull it out. He put it in, he can pull it out. If he doesn't, frankly, Corey, you don't know what you're talking about. We will be dead in the water.